Welcome to the Real Freedom Podcast with your host, Ryan Weimer. Today, I've got the Offer Now Idaho crew with me. Chris, our new recruiting and marketing manager. Chris, how are you?
I'm doing great. I'm doing really good. Always good to be here.
And I got Michael, our top acquisitions manager right now. Michael, I'm going to read off some stats here in a little bit, but we want to learn about your story. We just want to talk shop about your journey to Offer Now Idaho, learn more about you. How you doing today?
I'm doing well.
Okay.
I'm doing well.
Okay. You a little nervous or?
No. I'm a planner, and I didn't really get to plan for this, so I'm more like a tennis player. Where's it coming from? Like, hit me. I'll get it.
You know, I was talking to Chris yesterday about this, and he was like, I think it's better that we go in unprepared so we get the real authenticity to come out.
Right.
What do you think about that?
I can see a benefit in that. You know, the funny thing is even if I'd been given the questions and told myself, hey, you're going to sit, I wouldn't have done it. So we would have ended up exactly where we are right here. Yeah, my ADD brain isn't going to allow for me to put a lot of prep time into answering questions. So we're right where we would have been.
So the reason we wanted to bring you on the podcast today, Michael, our team is growing and scaling. We have a ton of opportunity at Offer Now Idaho. But not everybody is a perfect fit for us. And so you have been, and you are, and you resemble all the core values that we want at Offer Now Idaho. So before we get into all that, I actually wanted to learn more about your personal story, where you came from. Talk to me about what was life like before Offer Now Idaho.
I'm almost 50, so there was a lot of it. I guess it would depend on where we start. Are you looking for immediately before I started, or how far back are we going?
No, I want to learn about Michael, the person. Take me back. Way back.
Born in Los Angeles, so there's a whole life that comes with that. I didn't have outdoor adventures. We lived in a city, so everything was, we had smog alerts growing up. Like certain days you couldn't go outside because the smog was too bad.
Wait, you're a Californian?
Yeah.
Oh, how dare you?
Yeah.
How dare you?
A Californian who moved to Idaho.
Gross.
I know. I'm like a one-off. It's incredibly rare. So that's what I grew up. So there's so many things about life that I didn't know because I didn't know. We moved a lot within the confines of Los Angeles. But anyway, somewhere I decided, you know what, I want to be less of a lazy, aimless kid, and I want to do something really cool. So I joined the Army, and I had a few different offers in it. But ultimately, I was like, look, I want to do the Army thing. I want to dress up like a bush. I want to point a gun at people. So I went specifically into the infantry, and I did that for 4 years. I didn't like it at the time because I was a 18-year-old kid who whined about everything, but it was one of the best things that ever happened to me. It formed a foundation of who I would be that is with me to this very day. However, I had a family at the time, so it was, 4 years, and I got right out and went straight into law enforcement. So I was a municipal police department officer in the state of Missouri, and again, something that is deeply connected to who I am, value systems, structures, things that I took with it. Again, something I'm glad I don't still do. Fight or flight being your baseline. And I didn't think any of that at the time. But I mean, it's a tough job. You never know from moment to moment if you were going to be sitting in the car in the middle of the night, bored with nothing to do, hating to fill out paperwork, or if you're going to arrive to a scene and it's a huge crowd and you're getting cinder blocks thrown at you, and you drift in and out of that. And it made me a hardened person, inflexible, rigid, took a toll on the family, which ultimately I lost. Like, my first marriage didn't work out. I spent a lot of time away from the kids because when I got out of law enforcement, I went directly into the world of tattooing. So
I gotta learn about that transition.
It was almost the exact opposite of what I had been doing. Police work, you don't make a lot of money, and you're responsible for the entire world and its problems, or that's how it feels. I remember the first thing I thought when I finally decided to leave police work, my first sigh of relief was all the problems. Somebody else deals with that. I don't have to. For once, I don't have to. So I went into police work, but I had just been living somewhat traumatic, you could call it. There was some pretty traumatic stuff that happened. I mean, I left for reasons. But emotionally, I was in a little bit of a tough spot. And now I entered a world where money is easy. People think of you as a little bit of a rock star, and there's a lot of drugs and alcohol. And this was how I kind of coped with, what I went through in life, which nobody even talked about it then. Nobody talked about PTSD. Nobody talked about trauma. Nobody, pain meds were Skittles. I was getting 120 of them at a time. And then I went straight into tattooing. So, and that went exactly like it sounds. I partied a lot. I womanized a lot. I didn't really do anything with my life except just that. And over time, it turned out, again, exactly how you think it would. It went from, the party at Michael's house is always cool because, he's got my junk drawer, my quote unquote junk drawer, like everybody has in their kitchen.
Yeah.
Mine was like a literal junk drawer, and you had this little variety of all the different drugs. You like cocaine, we got a little bit of that. You like pain meds, we got a little bit of that. And it was funny. It was like a thing, and he came over. But it wasn't long. Well, I guess it was long. It took me a while, but the decline was slow but definitive. Eventually, the junk drawer never had anything in it because Michael did it all. And then, Michael wasn't holding up his part of the rent because Michael was refilling the junk drawer. And, that just got worse and worse. I started losing friends. It just got out of control. The hold that opiates had over me was just inescapable at this point. And then I ended up in the back seat of the very patrol cars that I used to drive. I got arrested. You need a prescription for hydrocodones and things like that. You can't just buy them from someone and carry them around.
What was that moment like when you're in the back seat of a cop car and and you used to be in law enforcement? That's got to be pretty jarring.
I knew it was coming. I worried about it so much that one day I'm going to get arrested. I'm going to have the handcuffs on. That when it happened, it was just acceptance. Like, well, this was inevitable. Yeah. And it was like I expected myself to feel this big, overwhelming wave of shame and grief and, but it was like, well, yeah, it happened.
Here it is. Yeah.
It was almost inevitable at that point. I had been skirting the line for so long. So that happened, and I'd love to say that, that really straightened me right up. But it was another 5 or 6 years before, I finally made the decision to never again. I had a death in the family. My grandmother, we always lived with my grandmother growing up. So I have a mom, but the space that a woman will fill in your head in the mom role, I kind of have a few different. I had aunts, my mom, my grandma, she was always there. And I was in jail when she died and something broke. Like I'm in here. She's not going to get to see me before she dies. The whole family's there. I have a huge Irish family because I'm in here. And I don't know. I kind of tell people it's like a reverse nervous breakdown where you got a normal person, they have a nervous breakdown, and on the other end, they're just a total basket case. I was the exact reverse, and I never did drugs again. So that final round was in 2020. COVID, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I was wearing a mask in jail.
What?
Like you have 60 guys in this room, bunk beds, 3 feet apart, with masks on. It was ridiculous.
Can't be getting COVID.
I got
while
COVID while I was in jail. They shoved the Q-tip into my face. It was weird. I don't know why they don't go up the nose and in the face. I didn't know there was a passageway there. Anyway, so I got out. Luckily, I'm a veteran, so this country offers some alternatives to veterans rather than going down the line of being a felon and things like that. And they're like, hey, if you take a year and a half, well, it can take anywhere up to the minimum, I think, is 14 months. Some people are in there for years. But look, if you do everything, and it's incredibly restrictive, and there are a lot of rules, but if you can get through it, then we'll go ahead and we'll wipe out those felonies so you don't have to carry around the term felon forever. And I was like, fine, let's do it.
So before you go any further, Michael,
Yeah.
first of all, I have to say that story is moving. It's riveting. And I really appreciate you being so vulnerable about it, because a lot of people aren't. And the fact that you're willing to share your story, I think, has definitely an impact to somebody that's listening.
Right.
And there's a lot we can draw from that. I'm curious, if we go a little bit back in time, it sounds like there was something that happened either in the transition from the military to law enforcement, or while you were in law enforcement. You mentioned being hardened. Do you feel like, was there a particular event? I mean, I can't imagine the things that you saw or witnessed or had to do. Not that we have to go into those, but was there something that you feel like you can point back and you're like, that's when it started to kind of unravel?
Like a specific event?
Yeah, or was it more just like over time of just getting burned out from what you were having to do?
Yeah, it was over time. So I was in, the version of the public that I was dealing with on a day-to-day basis is different from the normal.
Yeah.
Like, you forget that most people, maybe once or twice in their life, their neighbor's just like beating up on his wife or something. It's just not something. This was the everyday violence
Right.
and criminal thinking, hatred for police, human beings. You cannot help when you're confronted with groups of people that hate you to be resentful, And it wasn't any specific. I mean, in my head, it's just, a type of people, the criminal element, that sort of thing. And I just started becoming, if you had committed any crimes, you deserve no second chances. You need to go away, because these were the people that were on a daily basis causing me fear or anxiety. So I was just like incredibly inflexible when it came to right and wrong. And, that translated into how I raised my kids. Like that guy with that, I still think I did a good job. My kids turned out phenomenally well, but there was this edge to me that wouldn't have been there otherwise. So over time, that just built, and I had no sympathy, no empathy. I didn't care about anybody's story. They were either criminal or they weren't. They were categorized. Right. That was it. And it turned me into somebody I wasn't. I'm not fundamentally that kind of person, but I was living like I was.
Did you have an epiphany? Was there a moment where you had an epiphany, like, hey, I'm not this way, and so I need to quit what I'm doing here?
No, that didn't come till years later, even recognizing that I was changed. Yeah, at the time, I didn't have the perspective of who I was, who I became, who I am now. Yeah, I was young, 20. People in their 20s don't know anything. I'm sorry if you're 20, but you don't.
Well, thank you for sharing that. Usually on this podcast, we go right into starting with people's most beautiful failure. And so was there a particular moment in that time where you're like, you either felt that it was rock bottom, and how did you get out of it? How did you...
In when police work?
Well, just, I guess in that, over the course of that whole story.
Oh. I mean, there are highlights. Of course, the first time I got arrested, for sure. Of course, my grandmother's death. That was, no, it's such a slow, like, it's not a gunshot to the head. It's like you're slowly being bled to death.
Yeah.
So if I think back to those times, there's just this sense of prolonged and slow moving sort of dread from just being bogged down in it. Yeah, nothing explosive or immediate. Yeah, you deconstruct yourselves. I did anyway, over the course of more than a decade.
So how in the world do you build yourself back up going through something like that? Like, how do you start? How did you start? How did you... Because
I was fortunate. I had a frame of reference, a perspective. There had been a time where I was a veteran, and I was a cop, and I was a father and a family man. And I could remember that guy and know that that's who I am. I had something to base it off of. So for the most part, I just had to, for me at the time, it was just remember who you are. Remember who you are. However, I now had gotten way behind in the game of life. So we're talking 40 years old. I'm 40 years old. And I'm like, all right, I'm going to go conquer life. So what most people, or what a person should be doing at the age of 20 or 18, essentially when you graduate high school, I was doing at 40 years old. Like, all right, what am I going to be? What am I going to do? So I was well behind the curve at that point. Luckily, I had an idea of who I could be, so I knew it was possible. I mean, my heart really goes out to the people who've been drug addicted since they were 15 years old. Yeah. They don't even have a version of themselves.
Yeah, no identity.
None whatsoever. Yeah. I, like I said, was fortunate and had that. And then it just become successful because the world we live in, at the end of the day, is dictated, run by, driven by money. You got to have it. I was a father, a head of household. By this point, I had essentially adopted more kids. Like, I'm getting married soon. But during that time, she had 4 kids when we met. They were all really young. I've been raising them. I have 2 of my own. And I had to decide, like, all right, how are you going to be the head of household for this? And the first thing that came up was, well, you need to make a lot more money than you do because you've let all these kids down for a really long time. And I actually used my father as sort of my image. Like, he's always been put together. He's always been smart with his money. Anytime anybody's in serious trouble, they can call dad up. So I was like, all right, I just got to become that. I just have to do it. I didn't have a head start. You know? So 2020, they let me out of jail, and I'm in a little house a halfway house. So you can stay there for very little money while you get back on your feet. And what do I want to do? What are my skills at this point? I was in the infantry. So you'd think, okay, well, you do have skill, but most of those are going to be in security of some kind or another. Well, I was fighting, all these legal battles, trying to get criminal record expunged, that sort of thing. So I'm not going to get hired for any of that. I was in law enforcement. Again, like, I can't go get another job in that.
Yeah.
So I pretty much had to decide, okay, well, if you're not going to do anything that you've done, what do you want to do? And I don't remember exactly how I came to it, but basically the one thing that made everything I needed and wanted possible was sales. You don't need an education for it. There's no ceiling to where you're not capped. Like, if you want to make $50,000 a year, you can. If you want to make $500,000 a year in sales, you can. Anybody can. Anybody. Yeah. So there's no barrier to entry that I was facing. So it was like, okay, I'm going to get into sales. And I think my first was like, I'm going to get into software sales, because at the time they were like, that's the salesman who make the most. I mean, I'm a talker. So talking, I assumed that, if you can talk really well, that makes you a good salesman. Turns out, no, actually, talking is one of my biggest handicaps. So car sales, God, it's the easiest thing to get into, right? You just walk down there, you get a job, and they're going to teach you the skill of selling. And I always thought, all right, I'll learn the skill of selling in car sales, and then I'll work my way up, and then I'll get to software salesman. So there was my plan. And sales have been great.
Yeah.
So I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead, Chris. Yeah. I'm hogging the mic here.
No. So we share a similar background as far as law enforcement and getting to kind of desensitized to society, right?
Yeah.
How did you build trust in people again, going from being very segmented, especially with our mindset, going to a public forum where we get to speak to society again and embrace society, even from a sales standpoint or not, just being able to enjoy people again? How were you able to, like, especially coming out of a situation where incarceration to back into the public eye and dealing with some of the things that you had to deal with on the backside? So just entering back into a situation where now it's you're public facing all over again, but in a totally different way, and in a way that is kind of enlightening.
Right.
And how are you able to get your mindset to switch from police, army, or distrust from being in an environment of negativity and violence to I need to love these people.
Yeah. I think one of the things that helped me the most was I experienced both of the extremes. So I was the law and order, police guy, and I was also sent through the justice system and saw what a meat grinder, what an uncaring system that it is. And the funny thing I found was that when I was in jail, I didn't meet anybody, not one person. Yeah, there were some idiots,
Sure.
Some douchebags, people you don't want dating your sister. You don't even want in your neighborhood.
Right.
But there was nobody there that you're like, this person needs to be separated from society for the safety of society. Most of the guys in there, for one reason or another, were struggling with drugs. Right.
Yeah.
It's addiction.
Yeah.
Really good people that they would be welcome to stay with me and my family. And there were just so many of them in there. So it changed my opinion of what a kind of a criminal and things like that were. I mean, I had to go through an exercise of reminding myself that your home being broken into is incredibly rare. It's like winning the lottery or being audited by the IRS. The chances are just super, super small, especially if you're home.
Yeah.
But I mean, the number of times that I swear I heard something in the middle of the night and like cleared my own home for the longest time, just because the proportions were off. But anyway, to get back to what you were asking, seeing the other side of it, the extreme opposite of that, and then now living in a world where cops are the bad guys, where, yeah, like they do some stuff that you're like, geez, dude, like really, you're going to make a big deal out of this? I mean, they essentially kidnap you. You're going to work or whatever, right? I haven't hurt anybody. Right? I've got a prescription I'm not supposed to have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now I've been removed from life, placed in a cage, and, it went on. I don't know. It's just an extreme response. It felt like, anyway, whether all that's true or not. The point is that being on both sides of it sort of turned me into down the middle because I had both those perspectives. Yeah. So as much as I hate everything that happened, I don't know that I would take it away, because it did allow me to become a far more empathetic and understanding person as a result. Yeah.
I mean, you may as well just have asked him, why are you so good at sales?
100%.
Right.
Seriously.
Well, and I can't speak to anybody across, whether it's a referral from my sister who's a pediatrician all the way down to a guy who just got out of jail. I can have conversations with all of them. I've run the full gambit of life. So I think that's a real advantage that I have, because I can, what do they call it? Code switching. You change up your talk for any, now while I don't change my accent whenever, but I do understand all those frames of reference and all of those ideas and perspectives on the world, which, because you have rapport is built a lot of times through a little commonality.
Right.
And without rapport, they never trust you enough to see what you can do, which is the ultimate goal of all of this, right?
Right. Yeah.
So Michael, I'm going to do a little side tangent here.
Okay.
I hope you're not going to be ready for this one. So we like to embrace failure here at Offer Now Idaho, right? It's one of our core values.
Right.
Now, there was a particular seller story that I actually do want to venture into this tangent just as a funny story. On Grace Street. Do you remember this particular seller?
I remember Grace Street, but you'll have to.
It involves some wine, some music. I would love for the audience to learn about this seller story.
What was his nickname? So this guy had. I answered the door. He answers the door.
So we're going on a seller appointment, right?
Yeah.
He had contacted us about selling his property. Okay, so you show up.
It's a huge compound. This isn't like a house. This thing is multi-level. You're like, is this a little hotel or is this a home? Anyway, this giant, I don't know, imported from Italy wooden door, swings open. And he says something to the effect of, well, they didn't tell me you were going to be hot. I'm like, okay. I'm like, all right. So this guy, he's a great guy. He really is. It was funny. I guess he had died and come back to life at some point. So he had a spirit name, Doja or something like that. And this is a super bombastic guy, and he's super talkative and all over. And, you're asking about, it looks like you might have a little water damage there. Next thing you know, he's talking about the time that he needed to give Meryl Streep a breast massage. Like, you're just like, wait, what? How did we get there? Anyway, we finally come to an agreement. We're oh my God. We come to an agreement. We're moving forward. Contract is being signed. He's like, let's celebrate. And he brings out a bottle of wine. Just fine. You know what? I will have a drink with you.
Sure.
It's a big decision. You just sold a home that he had a hand in designing, and I like the guy. He's a really cool guy. Apparently he had been a singer at one point. So I wish I'd saved it. You can, because he did, go to Spotify, search his song, and while this smooth jazz-y type song plays, there's a picture of him sort of laid out.
Like a full spread or what?
He's holding the phone at me. So I'm kind of looking, and he's like, that's me. And I'm like, I see that that's you. Heavy eye contact, and he's singing the song aloud to me now, along with himself.
Just sprawled out like Costanza.
Yeah, he's just, so it was, you get through it. I was really happy that he was happy, because there's always an emotional dump once a big decision has been made. And yeah, it's one of my favorite times.
Wait, what happened next?
Perhaps I blocked it out?
I blocked it out.
He locks eyes with you. He shows you
he's just singing
he puts
to me.
on the record. How do you abandon ship in that situation? I mean, you can talk yourself out of anything. That's why I'm asking this.
You said embrace failure. It sounds like he was embracing success.
Yeah. I don't remember how I escaped from that. I don't know that I felt like I needed to escape. It was just, I don't know. Is there a part of this I'm forgetting, or?
Maybe you're forgetting for a reason. We can move on. I'm just kidding. I wanted to share that story because we meet with all different kinds of sellers, all different kinds of people, and
right.
That's you get some pretty funny ones in there. So Michael, I'm gonna read off some stats.
Okay.
And I don't think you've seen these. So in your first year at Offer Now Idaho, not only have you made over 6 figures in commissions, with an average deal size of $44,000, total revenue closed $975K, almost $1 million. That's right, folks. That's almost $1 million in just a year. Total appointments attended all time, 358. That's almost 1 a day. Total contacts all time, that's two-way conversations, over 1,600. And most impressive of all, total dials, over 10,000 total dials in 1 year. Michael, of all those statistics, which one are you most proud of?
It's one of my most proud of. Oh, that's a tough one.
You can say the big number. It's okay. Come on. We're all friends here.
Yeah, it'd have to be the contacts. That's how you build everything. I'm really, because I don't know how many times. I have to remind myself of it. A numbers game. It's a numbers game. It's a numbers game. And the dials, you're always going to throw up monster dials as long as you show up and you press a button. But it's a contact. So I can be sometimes kind of particular about what I will consider a contact. Just because someone answered the phone and, I don't know, said something, doesn't mean I consider it a contact. So there are times where words were spoken, but I'm like, no, that isn't a contact yet. So when I think about it, contacts are really it sounds dumb, but actually speaking to a person, because that's how you find out if they need us. And then from there, I think contacts for sure. That's the number.
Yeah, you can't make money and you can't help people without talking to people, right?
Yeah.
So talk to me about, obviously in sales, there's a lot of rejection, and your ability to even not only not get down about rejection, but have it fuel and motivate you. I'm curious, what is the Michael Marble method? There's some alliteration there.
Yeah, I read it in a book somewhere. So if someone ever listens, they'll be like, that's in my book.
So what is it for those of you that are, those people listening that are like, what the heck?
It's just move the marbles. So you set up jars. Mine are little wire baskets. Anyway, and in one, you put a bunch of marbles in there. And every time you get a no, So I've got a couple set up. I've got the no's for setting an appointment, and I've got the no's for attending an appointment. And every no counts. So every time I go on an appointment and I don't get a deal, I move a marble from one basket to the other basket. And it's a really good way of kind of visualizing. So it's funny. And this is so true and it works. And if you haven't tried it, you need to. So there used to be a time where if I had gone to 5 appointments, 10 appointments, I'm starting to think, damn, I haven't gotten a contract. And then it's 11 appointments. Damn. And then it's 12 appointments. Shit. This is getting worse.
Yeah.
And the anxiety ramps up. And then I start dreading Corey reaching out. I'm like, damn it, what's going on? What's going on? And I start.
Get in your own head.
So now it's the marbles. So, I've moved 2 marbles over. I've moved 3 marbles over. If I start getting to 10 or 11 marbles, which has only happened once or twice, you can't help but smile because now you know for a fact you're about to hit.
Yeah.
If I get to 10 or 11 marbles, easy street, start planning dinner because money's on the way. And I'm telling you, it's a legitimate feeling and it just switches over in my brain. If I'm seeing 8, 9, I'm like, I'm getting there. And it sounds like that can't have that effect. It really, really does. Until you've tried the marbles, don't tell me that it doesn't work.
So specifically, I think last week was last week or 2 weeks ago, you were at how many marbles, and then you ended up getting how many contracts in a day?
I was at I think it was at 9 marbles.
Okay.
And I got 2 in a day.
Just like that.
Yeah, just like that.
And is that luck? Is that chance?
No. That's the thing. You could tell yourself that. Oh, I just got lucky. I caught these people. Go ahead if you want to. You can tell yourself that. I don't think so. I firmly believe that there is a cosmic ticker up there. When I put work and effort into something, even if no one can say that directly benefits you in any way, there is a tally being kept. The work you put into things, the effort you give, there's a record kept somewhere and it pays off every time, no matter what.
Chris, what do you think about that?
There's tracking numbers, right? And the way that you do that, your what do you call the methodology? How do you guys?
Michael's marble method.
Methodology.
Yeah, methodology.
I just call it moving the marbles. Move the marbles.
So I've never heard of that. Usually it's on a piece of paper or a notepad or whatever the case is. So being able to visualize that's huge.
Yeah.
Well, I had a little question going before that. I'm going back to your success. I can't get over those numbers. It's wild.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm proud of those.
It's a twofold question. What was your biggest learning curve? And then the second question is, you've seen people come and go in roles like this. What is the learning curve that they miss?
Yeah, the learning curves is the mind of a seller. It's not the same. A person selling their home is just a different animal from somebody buying a car or any other kind of sales thing.
Transaction.
There are so many more emotions wrapped up in it. Oftentimes more people involved in it. And you have to approach it from a completely different way. And it's a whole little ecosystem, the world of buying homes from a person, off market. What we do essentially, and it's got its own rules and its own physics. And that was the biggest thing is yes, it's good that you're a salesman and you know how to sell. Now forget all of it. And yeah, the one thing that's transferable was the authenticity.
Yeah.
Just about everything else I brought from sales doesn't do me that much good.
What's the biggest misconception that the public has on what we do, and how have you embraced that challenge?
I think the biggest misconception is that we're just trying to get their house for cheap. Yeah, that our end goal is just getting their house for as cheap as we possibly can. And overcoming it, I take it personal. I have never done anything despicable. I would never go into an elderly lady's house and talk her into selling to me without her kids or grandkids knowing or anything like that. So it occasionally comes up. People will at least voice their opinion rather than just keep it to themselves. but they'll tell you that that's what they think. And I overcome it by directly confronting it. And yeah, I don't really let people get away with that.
Yeah.
It's only happened a few times, but I really do clamp down on it. Like nobody gets to say that I'm, trying to rip people off.
Yeah. Gross.
I just don't stand for it.
Yeah. On the flip side of that, given your servant-based mindset, providing value to people, and I think your superpower, which is being your authentic self. Like when you go into a house, there's no secret that you are trying to help that person. The contract is secondary.
Yeah.
Right? Because if you go in and you lead with value and you look to help, what happens? They let their guard down, and now we can have an honest conversation that to see if we are a good fit or not, which, right? Even the best people in our industry are closing 1 out of every 4 to 5 appointments. The best. That means we're getting rejected 3 or 4 times out of 5, right?
Yeah.
So we're not the best fit for everybody, and that's okay. But I love the fact that your authenticity, you wouldn't go to a doctor and lie about what's wrong with you, right? We want to have that doctor-patient relationship. That's our selling style, is we just want to get to the truth. How we view an appointment win is getting to the truth.
Right.
How everybody else views an appointment win is getting a signed contract.
Yeah.
So when you have your mindset focused on the wrong things instead of helping people, I think that's one of the main reasons why we're able to stand out as a company and why we're so successful, because everybody else is looking at these people as just numbers. We so authentically care about helping people. It is at the top of our Salesforce dashboard.
Right.
Number of people helped. We're on a mission to help 1 million people in the next 10 years. There's a reason why, if we do that, everything else takes care of itself. So sorry, I get really passionate about that shit.
No, I get it.
Fills
I
me
do
up.
too.
But you embody that perfectly.
Yeah. Well, I had to. I mean, I'm not in law enforcement anymore. I'm not, saving the world, and I'm not trying to save the world, one house at a time. But it's like baked. It's hardwired into me. Yeah. Like if you break down my DNA, there's going to be a strand in there that is like what I do needs to be honorable, right? I don't know that I ever initially conceptualize it as I want to help, but I'm like, it needs to be honorable. So when you're telling, someone, hey, this is what your house qualifies for, and they're making a decision as to whether or not they're going to sell their home at a discount, like for it to be honorable that I've asked you now or proposed to you, hey, sell to me at this discount, like it's got to be helping them. So it doesn't matter how you try to conceptualize it. For me, everything has to have honor in it, which means it needs to be a benefit to them. Otherwise, why do it? Otherwise, don't do it. I have directly told a person, do not sell to me. That makes no financial sense. Right. Sat down like the kid's dad, because I guess his dad never did it. And we wrote it out in handwriting, rent, all your bills. So yeah, it's got to be honorable.
So Michael, you've been on 358 appointments so far this year. That's actually over 1 a day on average.
I was surprised by that.
Which is insane. That is nothing short of massive action. I'm sure there are many, many of those appointments where you're making a really meaningful impact in somebody's life, not just helping them, but really changing the trajectory of them personally or their family for sometimes generations to come. Is there any one in particular, or recent one that stands out where you're like, man, that really filled up my cup to be able to help them?
Yeah, it's going to drive me nuts because I'm not going to remember the names. Yeah, I can picture both their faces in the house. I'm not. But he is me in 25 years, veteran, former law enforcement.
The homeowner.
Yeah, the homeowner, the seller. And he and his wife, this was pretty much the only asset they had, the only thing that was worth any money in their lives. So there was a little bit of retirement, there was Social Security, but pretty much everything was baked into this. And they had been told and believed, just like most people do, that, oh, your house is worth crazy amounts of money, the market is super hot, and all those things are true. But when most people are comparing things to 2022 and how crazy the market was, they're kind of shocked to find that, like, I know it seems like to you, oh, your neighbor just did that last week, but that was years ago, and that's not how it is now. Anyway, they had taken what actual cash they had and used it on a deposit for a manufactured home that they were putting on a piece of property 6 hours north of here. And now they needed to turn around and sell the house, and they needed to get, X amount of dollars. Yeah, I'm not going to remember the specifics. But the point is if somebody didn't come in and give them X amount of dollars for their house, they were going to lose everything, not get the next house, lose the deposit for it. I mean, and then he's got no way. He's not going to go get a second job. He's not going to start a new career. Like, they're broke. They're just completely wiped out. And I was able to turn that all around. And I mean, that was one where I really had to like Corey, can we make this work? Like, literally, I'm like, I don't care if I get paid here. Like, if you have to take, money I would make from this, and that pushes us over the line here, I'm fine with it. And his wife was convinced we weren't going to be able to get it done. She's like, this is so bad. She couldn't even be in the room. She's like, I can't take it. And they're living in their new house on their new property with their 2 horses, 6 chickens, 4 goats. Like, they got so many animals. Yeah, and they're doing great. And
Awesome.
Yeah, and I love myself because I helped facilitate that. Because they had their neighbor, the real estate agent, who's like, oh, it's going to sell for this much. And they'd been on the market and they didn't get any offers, nothing close to what they thought. And then he still wanted to take, he's got to get his 3%. I mean, it was brutal. They thought it was over. They were like, well, we just blew our entire retirement on a house that we're never going to get to move into. Yeah, it was a horrible situation.
Wow.
We got it done. We didn't make any money on that deal. I think we broke even. But that's the one I'm most proud of. The one I made no money on is the one I'm most proud of.
Yeah. I think that says a lot about why you're so successful, is that mindset. That is really hard to teach. How do we teach that? And people we're bringing on the team.
There is absolutely no way to teach. That's passion. So there's mindset and there's passion. And I've said this before. There is an internal, there's just something inside certain people that just have a passion to do what they do. It doesn't have to be sales. It doesn't have to be anything, but there's a passion. And yours is it's worn on your sleeve. You can't ignore it. Nobody can ignore it. You walk into a room and it's like, they know that you have your best intention, right? So mindset, yes. Mindset can be taught, but I don't think passion can. So that is really something unique about you personally, just listening to the stories. That's wild. Yeah.
So on the flip side of that, Michael, we see this all the time in what we do. First of all, first question, what would have happened if they signed with somebody else other than us? Or what could have happened? Meaning another off-market investor, another cash buyer.
They would have wasted time they didn't have. Had they gone under contract with somebody who couldn't actually execute, they couldn't actually do it, they would have wasted time and lost their deposit. And they wouldn't have been homeless. They still had their home. They could still live there. But their dream, everything they sunk a lot of money into this other place. And to repay all that was coming from their current home. Wow. So they were up against a time crunch. They knew that we have till this date, because that's the day they're supposed to deliver the new home. And if we don't have the money, so if somebody had put them under contract and wasted 2 or 3 months of their time and then last minute said, oh, well, we tried, but we couldn't find a buyer. Like, it would have been, it almost would have been worse than just being homeless. Because it would have been just such a...
it's like soul crushing.
Yeah.
So on that note, I actually want to talk about, because as we're getting to this time of year, especially going into fall and winter, you see more of this. And I don't think people do this intentionally, but there's a lot of, there's no other way to put this. There is a lot of incompetent off-market buyers, and there's also a lot of incompetent realtors. There's a lot of incompetent realtors, right? So I'm thinking of, and this happens all the time, but I want to highlight one in particular that you worked with, was the lizard lady. Remember the lizard lady in CUNA?
Yeah.
Okay. So before we get into her story, just to paint the picture, a lot of times sellers or homeowners reach out to us, and either we can't get in contact with them fast enough, or they are already under contract with somebody else.
Right.
And so I want you to talk about what you've seen happen with this, highlight this specific situation. What happened?
Yeah, that was a tough situation.
She signed with somebody else, right?
Yeah.
Was it a realtor or an off-market
buyer?
buyer?
She was looking at a bunch of different investors. So she was trying to meet everyone and find, whoever's going to give me the best number. And they had this number in their mind, which was pretty darn close to market value. It was an unrealistic number.
Which, by the way, how often does this happen when we meet with people and they're like, I'm going to meet with 5 different buyers and whoever gives me the top price, I'm going to pick. And you're like, wait, no. Before you do that, here's a story you should know.
Yeah, their situation in particular was a tough one. 2 teenage kids with autism, pretty severe. Anyway, teenagers fight, siblings, they all do. But I don't know the ins and outs of it, but it was really, really bad with these 2 because of the autism, because of kind of where they fall on the spectrum or whatever, like actual physical danger. Like we cannot, one legitimately might kill the other one. Like this cannot. So they needed to sell. And I met with them and they had an unrealistic idea of what they wanted for price. And, try as you might when someone's still got, well, I got these other people and and he said he could. And I was like, look, okay, if they can do that, I don't. And I'm like, I think with them in particular, I'm like, I don't see how that's possible. Like what he's saying he can give you doesn't make sense unless this guy is just buying it for himself and he plans on living there. Like this does not make sense. And no fault to them. They were in a tough spot. Of course, they're trying to get the most that they can, so they signed with someone else.
Without verifying proof of funds, Well,
they obviously didn't verify much of anything because they started acting based on, all right, 3 months from now, we're going to close. They're going to give me this amount of money, which is everything I wanted, more than Michael wanted to give us. And so they got themselves a new place that they were keeping one of the kids living with them. And then they got their other kid a place all by himself. But they needed deposits for these places, first and last month, that kind of thing. And they didn't have the money yet. The house hadn't closed. So they took out title loans and they sold, I think, pawned. Yeah, they took out title loans, 99%. I didn't think you could actually charge that much percent.
Wait, what? Whoa. Say that one more time?
Yeah, 99% interest on this title loan on their car.
99% interest rate.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard of such a thing?
I didn't believe her.
Something like
I had to look it up. I didn't believe her.
99% interest rate.
99% interest rate.
They took out a loan.
Yeah, title loan on their car. Yeah. And then
I've never heard of that.
And then the other.
It's true story investor, though. True story.
Yeah, he couldn't execute. He couldn't get the contract done. And I say it all the time. Any idiot with a rich uncle can be a quote unquote investor. Like it takes a lot more than that. It's the book of business. It's the Rolodex you have when you say, hey, I've got a house for sale. Who's interested? Who cares that you have a house for sale? When Offer Now Idaho puts a house up for sale, a lot of people perk up and want to see what's going on. And what are they? So we don't have a lot of, that's what makes us good. Anyway, that's what she needed or they needed. They needed someone who could turn around and sell that house under a time frame. They also needed someone to give them a realistic price. But of course, when they just stuck it on the MLS and nobody came and looked, I don't know what happened. Good luck, guys. Meanwhile, these people were absolutely, just a horrible, horrible situation, which could have been avoided. It could have been avoided.
But to go down that road, what happens when somebody not only puts down payments on 2 properties that now they probably signed leases with?
Yeah.
And they've used a 99% interest loan to fund those deposits, and then their house can't close. What happens to them?
So they can't pay rents on either the new places. They can't make the title loan payment. They still have their home. They haven't lost that, but and then just keep playing that tape. It just gets, they now have 2 rents and still their mortgage.
Yeah.
That they're on the line for. Their car, their transportation to and from the job that might help them pay for all of this is now under threat of being taken away from them. It's an extreme example, but it's a real one. And it's not an uncommon one. I mean, there are lots and lots of stories like this where people just have their time wasted. And sometimes in that interim, they bank on that. They count on that. And
Wow.
Yeah, 100%. And I think it's fine if somebody wants to sell with somebody else, and this is exactly how we train and coach it.
yeah,
If you get non-refundable earnest money, if you get them to waive their inspection period, and if you get proof of funds,
all right.
and they have the offer that you want, please take it. But make sure you write those 3 things down so that when you meet with them, you make sure that your contract has that stuff in it. I'm happy to review the contract for free for another buyer. We want what's best for that person, right? How many times, though, when we say that, do people actually have non-refundable earnest money, proof of funds, and will waive their inspection?
Right.
Yeah.
Almost never.
No.
Right?
Yeah. And, it's always rough when those situations end up that way. But I always make it a point to write it down myself in my best handwriting. Like, look, and if you can't get these things, run for the hills. Like, just don't do it. Yeah, and then like looking over contracts. Gosh, what was that one we read? I'd had a whole big thing. It was essentially saying, no matter what I do, under any circumstances, you or anyone you know can never sue me for anything, ever. It was the most ridiculous workaround I'd ever seen.
So I want to talk about grit for a second, Michael. How in the hell do you go on 358 appointments in less than a year?
I told myself that no matter what, like I was going to, gosh, that's such a, I remember it started with, I was talking to someone and I was like, can you imagine if you just took 6 months of your life and every single day of that 6 months, you gave 100% effort. This is kind of specifically to sales roles. Cause you know, if you, I don't know, have an hourly rate, you can only make what you make. But in a sales role, can you imagine every day, work on your days off, stay late? Like if you gave everything you had in 6 months, like think how much more you could make. Person could double their money, if not more, in just 6 months. And I mean, if you think about it, like what if you just took 6 months of your life and you just were like, this is what I'm going to do. Then at the end of that, you can do whatever you want, right? How many months in am I? I just haven't stopped yet.
So I guess the counter to that, why would someone not do that? Because the way you just illustrated that, it sounds so simple, right? We live to be what? Hopefully at least 60, 70, 80 years old.
Jeez, I'm almost 50. Yeah, at
The
least
road
70
ahead's
or
getting
80.
really.
Yeah.
60? It's 10 years from now. Dude.
All right. So let's say we live to 80 years old, right? I should know this because I'm an engineer, but 6 months of that is a very small percentage of your life.
Yeah.
Why do you think people aren't willing to make that trade?
Gosh, like, all I can do is use my own perspective on it rather than speculate why other people would do it. So the immediate answer is because I'd rather watch TV or play video games. It's just easier. It's more fun, right?
Yeah.
But beyond that, it starts becoming, what are your beliefs around success? And I know some of mine in the beginning were, rich people are greedy, and I don't want to be greedy, so it justifies, not being successful. And it's a waste of life. Like, enjoy life. Like, why would you waste your time? Just, so it just came down to my beliefs about money. And I needed to come up with excuses for why being unsuccessful was okay. Why is it okay that you don't make a lot of money? And I just don't accept any of those. But I think that's what holds people back. I think it starts with their beliefs, and then they develop habits from those beliefs. And then those habits are just their lives, and they don't even realize that it's all choosable. They don't have to do any of that.
So Chris, how do we find people like that have that grit and have what Michael has to join our special team here?
You just got to look at kind of what Mike's gone through is just that background and where his mindset is now. When you have those conversations, it's what is your definition of success? What is your why? Why do you wake up? Why do you put your shoes on? Why do you comb your hair? And once you start to see a pattern of things that are attainable, but they don't have yet, but they have a relationship with the why, it becomes that passion.
Yeah.
It becomes that unshakable mindset to where 90 days, 6 months, a year, give me the pen and the pad. Let's just get after it. It's when we don't have that relationship, right? When you make that decision to justify, and because we've never had those things, we don't miss those things. And if we don't have a relationship with those lifestyle changes, then, well, I'm not used to it anyway. So we shrug our shoulders and we continue to press on. And so finding that person who just is not accepting the status quo, what they consider a status quo, that is continually trying to find and push through uncomfortable situations or things they're not used to get to the other side or to achieve something greater. That's who we're looking for, because not for us. It's because we know with our foreground, with our business model, what's attainable for them is unreal, and they'll be able to achieve all of those things. And it's a real testament to see Mike. I don't think Offer Now takes the credit. It's just a platform without that grit, without that determination to just want better. Like that's a him decision. And he's using the platform to achieve those things. He's not done yet. That's what it's exciting. We're not even in a year.
I know. That's what's so crazy. So one thing you said, Michael, really stands out to me. What I've noticed a pattern with the people that are most successful is their time horizon in which they measure success. The longer that is, typically the more successful people are, and the higher, obviously, guarantee it is that they are successful. Meaning, you said, if I put 6 months into something and I give 110% effort, what could I do?
Right.
A lot of people, they can't think past tomorrow or a week. Or they think, well, that's too long, right? A month is all I got, and I need to see that success.
Yeah.
You're saying 6 months, a year, a decade, whatever it is. How do people increase that time horizon of success in which they measure themselves so they give themselves the chance to start seeing the compounding effects that you're describing? Because you said 6 months organically, right? But so many people, they're thinking about this week, next week.
Yeah.
How do they get in the longer term mind frame? How did you do that?
Yeah, that's tough. Some of it comes with age, obviously, to a 10-year-old, and the summer's going to last forever. 3 months is nothing, And if you tell a 15-year-old he's got to wait till he's 16 to get a license, that's like, oh my gosh, that's.
Yep.
But you talk to a 45-year-old about, it's going to take a year. They're like, years. Like those fly. I think it comes down to the habits. Set whatever you want. The reason I didn't stop at 6 months is because by the time I got there, the habits were in place. I get up. I still get up early. I don't need to get up that early. I still get up early. I still do my morning routine. And I don't, it just happened over time. I gave myself what I thought was something achievable. Just do it for 6 months. One shot at 6 months, you'll have all this money. You can do this. I don't remember what I had in mind at the end of it. Make it half that. Make it one. But once the habits start to change, now I just live my life like anybody else does. Like it's no different to me than it is to someone else. They might watch more TV than I do, or play more video games than I do, but I don't feel like my life is any different. It's just life to me. I don't feel about it any certain way that I think is different from somebody who's, straight 40 hours a week, no extra effort. Yeah, their life is their life. Same for me. Mine just has a different baseline.
Chris, I want to get your thoughts on that. It's the 4 feet from gold analogy, right?
Oh,
it's the
God.
people that give up right before they reach that inflection point, right before their pipeline starts to take off and they start closing sales and commissions. It's rare for salespeople to be able to think longer term. And I know in any sales role, but especially with Offer Now Idaho, the sales cycle can be a challenge for people. How do we get into more long-term thinking instead of, hey, I want to be successful within the second week, the first 30 days. I need to see success. What are your thoughts on all that?
Bringing a louder voice than all the people that say you can do it overnight. There's just way too many people out there trying to sell a dream because it's easy. And that's the problem. It's easy. It's easy to get in front of a camera and sell a coaching program to tell people that they'll be millionaires tomorrow because people want that. That's what they think is possible. If they just do these 1 to 25 things and just a low price of $49.95, you're going to learn how to make $1 million within a week. And that's just not true. It's never been true. And it's never going to be true. And so those misconceptions compounded over time, you have a group of people that buy into that, and you have a group of people that, even worse, have gotten scarred by it. And then you have an actual business. And again, we're one of many that offer something so incredible. But how do you trust it? So there's a lack of trust. And how do you gain trust is you have to re-educate them. And you come from a place of I'm not just going to talk about it. I'm going to walk it. You're going to see it. And that's where the re-education comes into place.
So Michael, Chris and I were talking about this the other day. You are the pinnacle of what we would describe as all in, right? And all of us want to be that all in. The opportunity that we have here, when I described things like, hey, we're only at 1/4 of the marketing budget that other teams around the country,
Right.
They're closing as many deals as us, but we're spending 25% as much. Okay. When I say that, you understand that, and you understand, holy crap. So that means if we just doubled our marketing spend, not even 4x'd to catch up with those guys, what that means for the number of deals, commissions, how much money everybody can make. Yeah. You understand that. How, from your perspective, is there a gap on understanding of what that upside is? How are you able to see that carrot and just run towards that with intense passion?
Like, how do I find my drive and keep?
Well, no, how do you, like, you understand the upside,
right?
You understand that we're in early innings. Like, we're just getting started.
That was one of the reasons I specifically wanted to work here rather than any kind of bigger, of course, as far away from corporate as I could get. It came down to deciding what I wanted to do. So, a lot of this stuff is all based around, when I first looked into sales and then from sales where I wanted to go. And one of the things when I was looking into all this is, well, do I want to open a business? Do I want to be an entrepreneur? Right. And it actually took a little bit of work for me to admit to myself that I didn't, but I wanted to feel a little bit like I was. I wanted to have a say in what the company becomes, and I want it to, just to have my DNA all through it. So you start with something small, you put in the work like it is my business, like Offer Now is mine. I mean, if you were to talk to a lot of the sellers, they'd probably be a little bit hazy on exactly, does he own it? Is he, and not because I try to portray myself as some, CEO baller of the company, but because I take ownership of it. Offer Now is my company. Like, it's my company. And the people that I help are my people. So I knew I wanted to have that kind of involvement, but I didn't want to actually be the one in charge. I don't want to learn payroll. I don't want to deal with taxes. I don't want to figure out all that stuff. Yeah, I don't want any of that. Yeah. But I want the same sort of involvement. I want the same sort of buy-in, and I want the same reward long term. All you got to do is stay put. And I get on the ground floor and I just stand still. And next thing I know, I don't know, I'm on the C-level executive floor just because I came in when I did. Yeah, I want to help shape the company as we go. And I have an ability to do that here.
That's incredible. Chris, any other questions? I got probably 3 more for Michael here.
Well, I got some rapid fire ones, but I think I'm going to save them for the end.
Oh, a little lightning round?
I got a lightning round.
Okay. At Offer Now Idaho, we're looking to hire A players to run our organization and help us grow our business. Corey, why would somebody want to work with Offer Now Idaho?
Do you want to be challenged? Do you want to grow? Do you want to have people in your culture push you to be the best version of yourself? I do. And that's why I'm here. And in addition to that, do you want to have the chance at growing long-term generational wealth? That's all a possibility with a company that's small, cares about you, and wants you to be able to invest in real estate.
What's something that separates Offer Now Idaho from any other real estate company?
It's really rare to find a company that can help you get into a home. Sure, they might throw a few thousand into a 401k that you can access when you're 65. How many people are going to help you either provide a rental property or a shelter over your own head? Through our off-market home buying program, we assist our employees in buying properties once they've achieved certain levels within the company. And that's really unique to people because you get that asset. You get to do whatever you want with it. And you're buying an off-market discounted property to improve the quality of your life and your family's life.
Yeah, not only that, we offer benefits and we have a very challenging and high growth energy startup feel to our work environment. So we are looking for people that want to make over 6 figures a year. Right now, we have a $3,000 referral program. If you know somebody that's looking for a new role, we will pay you $3,000 once that person is hired by us and they hit their 90-day mark. So if you know of anybody that's looking for a new job or looking to change their life, shoot me a DM at RealRyanWeimer on Instagram.
Let's get it.
What in the heck is a Weimer coin? Talk to me about Offer Now Idaho's employee discounted home buyer program and what getting that has meant to you and what you're going to do with it.
You want like the definition of it, or do you want to know what it is to me?
Yeah, no, both.
Okay.
Yeah, what is it?
Well, a Weimer coin is just the ability to buy a house at a discount. What it is to me is the other half of an equation that's really, really, really difficult to summarize. So it's not just about the money that I make, right? Like if I'm making 6 figures or I'm making mid 6 figures or high 6 figures, like that's great. But I mean, it's only scalable so far. So you've got to find other ways to kind of generate wealth and do other things. Like I said, I'm pushing 50, which means I don't have 30 years to build my little empire. I can't do like my dad did and save and let compound interest build. You know, I got to find other avenues to do that. So how do people do that? How do people build wealth? What is wealth versus income? Which I didn't realize there was a big difference. And it's assets. So it's assets. All right. Well, what am I going to start playing the stock market? Am I going to get trading for dummies? If you look at it, one of the cornerstones of the American economy is real estate. Right. So that was another big component of my choice to switch from just sales in general into real estate specifically, because it gives me the ability to buy real estate, an asset, and capitalize on that asset to generate wealth, whether it be passive over the long term or, you know, buy low, sell high. I mean, all the different options, whatever they are. Yeah. But yeah, it got me. So I wanted to increase my wealth. Anyway, a Weimer coin allows you to become an investor yourself.
Yeah. So for those people that are listening that are like, what in the heck is a Weimer coin? So at Offer Now Idaho, we have an employee discounted home buyer program. And after a certain amount of revenue that you generate, or every certain amount of revenue that you generate, you get a Weimer coin, and you can exchange that Weimer coin to buy one of our discounted properties in inventory that we've gotten under contract at an additional employee discount. So we're talking not like ridiculously priced properties at 6 and 7% interest rate, like in the current environment. You can get properties at 3%, 2%, 1.5% interest, because we do creative finance deals, and you can move into that house. And that house, because of just the principal pay down alone, not appreciation, not anything else, is a guaranteed way to generate wealth, right? And so you're going to use your first one to buy a primary residence.
Yep.
What do you want?
Smaller. You know, all the teenagers are moving out. We're down to the last 2. So I'm ready to downsize a little bit on size. But yeah, the whole goal there is I'm buying an interest rate. That's my primary. What's my interest rate? And then secondary, of course, is where it is, how big it is, that sort of thing. The first one will be the primary, and then from there, rentals. I don't know. We'll
Incredible. So you're about to get your second one.
Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah. One thing I wanted to add to that, because you and I were talking about it this morning, highlighting the difference between income and wealth.
Yeah.
And okay, great. I want to buy a primary residence. I want to have rental properties. What about the excess cash? What should I do with my money? And what I told Michael is we have the ability at our company to legally insider trade assets. What do I mean by that? It means when we get a property under contract at a discount, we are guaranteed, we know that day we have made money. You cannot buy a stock at 20% less than what the current stock price is today. So do I have some money in stocks? Sure. But my competitive advantage is real estate, and everybody that works for us in our company, their competitive advantage is in real estate. That's why we have the whole program, is so that people are encouraged to generate massive amounts of wealth through that program. Because again, it's like cheating. We can legally insider trade. Day one, we know we are making money. You can't do that with any other asset class. You can't. Yeah. You can't. But clicking a button and buying stocks, buying crypto, whatever it is it's lazier, right? And so you take that risk of that upside. And of course, stocks and things go up over time, but you're not making money day one.
No.
You're not.
No.
So I just wanted to add that context, because that is exactly why, yes, real estate is the vehicle. But Chris, as you know, a lot of times people that we're looking for to join the team, sometimes not having any real estate background at all is advantageous, because
100%.
there's no habits we need to unteach, where it's like a blank canvas, just like Michael was.
You literally nailed it by saying habits you have to unteach. In real estate, when you have your license, you have this false sense of identity. I really believe that. And I'm saying that because I used to be in that field for a very long time. And I'm not talking down upon that industry, but I am going to expose the mindset around that industry as to where I have my license and I'm the smartest person. I'm the expert. And you won't even go to the damn neighborhood that you think you're an expert on. You won't even knock on a door. You won't open up the MLS and actually look to see what's trending, what's not trending, how many days on market. And so you're lying to people on a daily basis, but you've done it for so long, you start to believe your own shit. And so when you walk into this environment and you don't have all of those things holding you back, really on your shoulders, weighing you down, and a lot of it, ego. You don't have the ego coming into this, and you have a coachability mindset. You have excitement to do something bigger for yourself, for your family, for the company. I mean, sky is the limit. So yeah, the habits, it's always a nail biter when you're coming from that real estate background, and true real estate agents know exactly what we're talking about.
Michael, what's the most impactful thing that you've learned about yourself in your short time working here?
There's been a few. I mean, there's been some stuff around money and just my beliefs around it. So I had to change some of that. I think I've found that I am much more empathetic than I realized. I can get bought in to a person's situation far more than you would think. I always kind of thought of myself as a little bit more of a cynic, people and their problems. But yeah, you sit me down in your living room and you explain to me what you've got going on and the difficulties. Like, I kind of buy into those a little bit with you. I think it's a benefit to me. But I found that I'm an empathetic person, and which is a pretty good thing to know about yourself. I had never really thought about that before.
And I think the second part of that, can you describe our team right now and what kind of people you're looking to work with that you want to join our team?
The team we have right now, I mean, some of them are new. I don't know on those guys yet. But I mean, I'll just speak predominantly to the acquisitions team. I mean, we've got a team of competitive, not all of us are competitive, but for the most part, competitive guys who also want to collaborate to succeed together. So there's a little bit of push and pull there. We're always the first one trying to get that inbound before the other guys, and kind of stick our tongue out at them when they didn't get it, like, too slow. But then there's some like genuine, like, all right, I want to get more contracts this month than he does. But the other thing is, so we can kind of complain to each other about sellers or this or that or the weather or, whatever it is.
Or Ryan.
Or the CEO.
And without it becoming this like little vortex of negativity, right. We can just sit down, just, bitch about the day and, Corey doesn't. His programmer never gave him proper emotional responses. Like it just circuits out. It's no. So, but at the end of the day, we're all fostering. This is actually a really common thing that happens. We've identified what our goals are, right, as individuals, and then collectively we all agreed we have the same ones, right? So I want to make X amount of dollars. I want to buy houses so that I generate wealth outside of that. The two together is what I want. So then something comes along and it just infuriates me or pisses me off, or I want to throw my laptop out the window. Does it change the two goals? Am I still on target? Did Corey do something that drove me nuts? Did this seller did that? Okay, yes, valid. That sucks. Everybody on planet Earth will agree with you. That was horrible. Did it change your goals? Like, can you still try? Nope, I'm still on path to my goals. So it's fine. Yeah, we remind each other of that. We let each other vent, and we remember, you're still making this. You're still on path to do this. So I would say that's one of the things I love about this team right now is we're actually motivated. It's not just people punching in and punching out because we've worked with those. Do you remember the guy at 4:30, 30 seconds?
Oh, yeah.
End of day metrics in, bounce.
I'm going to add something to that because I'm still fairly new as well, right?
Yeah.
What I love about this company is the culture that's been built by this staff and not so much the forced upon culture built by the leadership.
Right.
You walk into this and you see the first person that's got their hand out to help is your colleague. And not to say that leadership doesn't. They're the first ones to do it. They want that. They enjoy that. They want that camaraderie. They want that trust and say, hey, we're in this together. And so to me, when I saw that firsthand and no one had to tell me that, that was really exciting. To see everyone interact in a way that's supportive. There is a competitive edge, but it's all in the fun of let's find these goals together.
All right.
That was amazing. It's amazing.
So, Michael, urgency, integrity, embracing failure, dedication, providing value. Those are our core values at Offer Now Idaho. As we're looking to grow the team here, because we are hiring and we're hiring at a rapid rate because like 20% of our database is not even contacted. That's thousands of leads that are not even contacted in our database. Which of those stand out to you for people you want to have on the team?
Integrity. None of the others matter. If you don't have integrity, I don't care how urgent you are. I don't care how dedicated you are. I don't even really care about the value you provide because if you don't have integrity, like I don't trust anything you provide. Yeah, integrity is at the heart of every bit of it.
Okay.
Yeah, it needs to be in the company and in everybody just like it's in me. Maybe not to the same degree. I can take it I get it. What do they call it? Extra with it.
And what have you seen as the biggest difference between people that come on with us and crush it versus those that don't work out?
Gosh, there's a couple of things. Inflexibility, like people, they say they're coachable. They say they want to learn, but not if they have to change something. Like they're open to something new, but if you ask them to change a belief or a way of thinking that they currently have, they're not willing to do that. And you can't really, you can't learn that way.
Yeah.
Most of being coachable is about letting yourself be changed.
Yeah.
Love that. I love that answer. Are we ready for the lightning round?
Yeah. You ready for the lightning round? This is just fun, right off the cuff.
Okay.
No thinking involved. You ready?
Yeah.
This one's going to be easy. Favorite movie?
The Godfather.
Really? You spun me on that one. Favorite song?
Song? Hurt, Johnny Cash.
Is that your favorite band?
No.
Favorite band?
Oh. Tool.
Tool. All right. Favorite brand?
For now, Idaho.
Right? I don't know. I'm a non-brand. I had Kulina. They make amazing knives. I love it.
There we go. Favorite hobby?
Hobby, drawing.
What's your favorite thing to draw? What's your style?
Ninja
Spill the
Turtles.
beans. Yeah.
Ninja Turtles.
Ninja Turtles, yeah.
Favorite character?
Ooh, Leonardo.
Why?
Well, because I have to be him now. In my world, I'm Leonardo. I'm the leader, you know. I used to get to be the Michelangelo, the goofy, you know, and there was a time when I really wanted to be the Raphael, the tough guy, but no, Leonardo, he's got it all on his shoulders. He has to make the right decision. He's not the most beloved, but he's the one they need the most. That's me right now.
Last question. Do you put pineapple on pizza?
No, but I won't turn it away if it's on there.
There we go.
This is weird.
People usually have pretty strong opinions.
That is
Yes
like
or
the
no,
most.
Yeah,
Yeah. That was pretty middle ground
Yeah.
answer.
I'll eat it, but I won't order it.
There's usually a one way or the other,
Yeah.
right? And there's a strong belief
Yeah, I got
on
a
both.
kid who, it's stupid. You gonna put apples on it? Yeah, he's like, he's affronted by it. You have insulted him
Yeah.
if you even suggest putting pineapple on pizza.
It's so offensive.
How about we go a little off script here? We got a little bit of time left and then we'll
Okay.
be done. What are some questions you have for either Chris or for myself or something you want to talk about?
Let's see. Well, I don't know. Are we still doing the brick and mortar? Where's the progress coming with that?
Yes, we are doing a brick and mortar. Where it's going to be, what it's going to look like, to be determined.
TBD?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So ideally, the vision right now is to have some kind of flex space.
Right.
Obviously, our acquisitions people, they're going to be driving around all day. So how much they're in or not in the office is in large part going to be up to them.
Right.
But especially for our inside sales team, I mean, you know what it's like being behind a monitor, sitting at home in isolation for 8 to 10 hours a day. That's why you're in the role that you are, and why people that are, you know, a different personality type and profile like to do that, right? So what we have found is just that the physical presence, especially for that kind of a role, is really important, and that encouragement to be like, hey, you're getting cussed at too.
Right.
Like, great, we're in this together. You know what I mean? So that's going to be really the foundation of what that looks like. Anything to add to that?
No, it's monumental. There's just something about being in the same
For
room
like
that
lead managers? Ugh.
Yeah.
it's just there's
Not
just
me. That's why one of the big things about this job was like, I don't want to be sitting at one location all day, every day anymore. Yeah, I completely quit because I just hated the idea that if you come here tomorrow, I'm going to be here. If you come in 10 years, I'm going to be right here. Like if you come at this time of day,
Yeah.
and I was like, I'd rather be homeless. Yeah. Gosh, don't ever try to.
Frank said the same thing. So yeah, it makes total sense.
No,
Yep.
like, am I all over the place? But I mean, look at what I've done. I didn't, you didn't have an office in the Army. Then all my police work, like the first 20 years of me working as an adult, I was pretty much free to do whatever I wanted, which was wonderful. And then tattooing,
yeah.
I mean,
See, and this
wasn't
makes
any
total
rules.
sense because Michael's profile, he's A over B, so he's more independent than he is social.
Yeah.
And so he's always going to be
Oh yeah,
out and about doing
Out in the
stuff,
open.
right?
Yep.
But would it surprise you if I said there are a lot of people out there that are more social than they are independent, and they actually just love talking to strangers on the phone all day?
that would be shocking. That somebody's actually like, I like it.
100%.
No, but then again, I mean, if you tried to describe Corey's love of this, I mean, there are just times where I'm like, what? You know, like
The spreadsheets, or what are you referring to? Okay.
just, I mean, he's the quintessential engineer brain
Yeah.
kind of thing. You know, if you, I don't know, having an emotional thing, he's translating it into binary.
My
And,
my
you know,
favorite part of my day is if I'm able to say something that he goes, "Oh,"
right?
because I'm like, finally, I got you.
Whoa, calm down. What's with the outburst, Corey?
Okay. Robot, check.
Yeah, I love him to death, though. Yeah.
What other questions do you have? Asked about the in-person office.
I mean, all my stuff is around, are we building the team? Are we building the team? And we got the new lead managers. Yeah, we're building the team, right? We're building the team.
100%.
I think-
And
I-
I'm seeing it, so I don't really have questions about it.
I think
Um,
I think the
I mean, I
bigger
guess for you, I mean, my thing for you is, I mean, I've asked you a million times, is like, what are we doing different to get the people that aren't just punching in and punching out? We need Kool-Aid drinkers,
So the easy answer to that, and to your point, is I'm not building a team.
right?
I'm building a brand. And so when you build a brand, you have people that are chomping at the absolute bit to be a part of something that is what we're building. And so building a team is just more front facing, getting quality people that really want to be in those chairs, whether that chair's in office sitting in front of a computer or a chair is in their desk at the driver's side of their vehicle going to the appointments. But what's more important than anything is building that brand. Because once you have that brand, it's really hard to ignore all the benefits that we're bringing to the community. And then we have people knocking on our door saying, please let me be a part of this company.
Right.
And that's a game changer for us. So that's kind of the priority, is building the brand and not so much just the team. The team is really built within you guys. So for us, it's being the absolute most well-known brand in Idaho. That's the goal.
Yeah.
I love that.
I mean, we're already Idaho's most trusted home buyer. Idaho has a population of 2 million people, so it's not that hard.
Right.
But it's
Yeah, it's not, but it is.
it's not, but it is.
Still a grind.
Yeah. But I think it's the same concept as inbound and outbound leads, right? So an outbound lead, we're cold calling, we're cold texting, we're cold emailing. It works. But it's a volume game.
Some of my best deals have been outbound.
100%. And the deal sizes are bigger. Why? Because a lot of times we're the only person that's talking with them and whatever. And we have that relationship. But inbound channels, when somebody picks up the phone and they call us and they're like, hey, I want to sell my property. I mean, those are already inherently more qualified. And so what he's talking about, what Chris is talking about, building a brand, it's a magnet.
Right.
Right.
And you're always going to get more qualified and even a higher caliber or more motivated, more bought in person doing that.
Right.
The problem is, what do we do between now and then? Because a brand is a moving target and not an immediate thing and takes a long time to build.
Right.
So you have to have the outbound. You have to have that high level of action until you get there. But it's 5% here, a 10% chunk here, right? We're making progress towards that. But that's what that looks like. We're stoked about it.
Yeah, I love it.
Just like Red Bull, what do they sell? They don't sell energy drinks. They sell an experience.
Yeah.
They sell that energy as a definition, not the energy in the drink, right? The X Games, the exhilaration.
Yeah, I like the brand Red Bull a lot more than I particularly care about the drink. I just love what they've contributed to.
They do cool shit.
Yeah.
You're always
100%.
seeing Red Bull is associated with nothing boring.
So many,
Nothing.
and so many sports like exist now because Red Bull helped them.
100%.
Yeah,
Soapbox racing.
I do happen to like them, obviously, but
Yeah.
I'm a big. That's one that could have been my brand right there.
Yeah.
Red Bull. I really do like them.
But that's the ultimate goal is to have Offer Now be that. You know, what is the definition of that? When people think of Nike, they don't think shoe. They think of everything that Nike brings to the table. They think of Michael Jordan. They think of basketball and running and Olympics or whatever that case is.
My kids think of it as the hierarchy of popularity.
There it is.
If you don't have a Nike Tech hoodie, like it might as well be
Who are you?
Walmart.
Yeah. Walmart.
Yeah, you got two levels of hoodie: Nike Tech or Goodwill.
Yeah.
Because I know they always want Nike Tech hoodies.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's awesome. You have anything else, Chris?
No, man, I've learned a lot today. So I did not expect, I don't think anyone expected the story.
Right.
Yeah.
And that is not just vulnerable, it's deep. And honestly, like you said, someone's listening and you're going to go, shit, that's me.
Somebody out there wants something different, wants success, and I don't know where they're starting from. But I was telling a really good friend of mine, when I took this job, I was buying groceries with credit cards because I didn't have enough money to buy groceries.
Yeah.
And you fast forward now, and I'm on pace to double what was a 6-figure income in my old job.
Yeah. That's incredible.
Since November, basically.
That's
November
wild.
1.
Yeah. Not even a year.
And the effects haven't just been there. Like my kids, my wife, like they all respond to me differently, not just because of the money. Granted, it's nice that we've got a little bit of a breathing room when it comes to money. But the fact that my kids, when they wake up in the morning, Dad's already up, Dad's always up before us. Dad works after we're already home from school. Dad's always working. Dad's always working. Dad's always working. And my wife sees he's always busting. He's always hustling. He's always grinding. And the effect that it's had on them, like I've always had jobs. I've never like not had a job around them,
Right.
but I haven't commanded the amount of respect and like the look in her eyes sometimes is like, this guy is killing it and I love him for it.
Yeah.
And I'm getting a much sweeter, more devoted version of her, which is a direct result of she's got to do hustles his ass off.
Yeah.
Constantly. There aren't like days off from it, really.
Well, before you do the outro, let me just say congratulations. I'm very excited for you. And so hopefully we get to see some pretty dope pictures and some
Right.
videos from it.
All right, Michael. Well, anything you want to leave that was a pretty powerful last bit there. Anything else you want to leave the listeners with? All right.
That was my mic drop moment.
Hell yeah, I love it. We'll catch you on the next one. Peace.